How's it going, guys? What we're going to be doing in this video is I'm actually going to show you the steps that I take to clean my propane heater every year before I light it. Now, it is getting cooler outside as of the time that I'm recording this video, and of course people that use propane or natural gas for heat, this is the season when their units need to be cleaned and inspected. First thing that I typically do is, of course, I will open up my line, my gas line feeding the house, but I do not turn the valve on that is back behind the heater. I do that just to kind of let everything equalize out. You know, there, of course, the regulators and stuff are outside. And then I'll come inside here and actually take my heater apart and clean it. Now, of course, the grill, this particular heater, it just sets off just like that. I'm going to lower the bottom and take out the logs. The reason you want to do this is because you're not going to be able to get everything clean if you still have all these in place. Okay, just like that. It's very easy on these heaters. Just set this over out of the way. There's locator pins on each of these. And if you do not feel comfortable in working on a gas heater, then I would highly suggest that you hire a professional. Get somebody that does this stuff for a living, that knows what they're doing. This is just basically me showing you some of the steps that I take, and I have been doing this for quite a few years, and it has always worked fine for me. Now, once I have everything apart, what I'm going to do now is actually just take a good vacuum cleaner, just take my shop vac and just vacuum out everything in here, just to try to get as much of that dust as possible out of the unit. Typically, after I go over everything with a vacuum, I'll just get some kind of an air duster like this, just to kind of spray in here to help loosen up any dust that I did not get with the vacuum cleaner. And you can see there's some dust that has been coming loose. Even after I went through with the vacuum cleaner, there's still some additional dust that it did blow loose. Guys, I want to bring you in just a little closer on this particular heater, and what you want to pay particularly close attention to is that you don't have any of these little holes blocked with any kind of debris or anything. You also want to pay close attention to your pilot light. This is where your pilot light's going to be here, your thermocouple, as well as this piece here. And usually these are sold as a single unit. Again, if you are not comfortable with working on gas heaters, you need to hire a professional. But just cleaning it out, you want to make sure that you get all of these little holes that are in these clean, get all of the dust and debris out of them. The dust is one of the biggest causes of your heater smelling bad. The more of that dust that you can clean out at the beginning of the season, the longer you're going to be able to go before you need to shut it down and clean it again. I've gone over it with the duster and with the vacuum cleaner once, but I want to make sure that I get it good and clean, so we're just going to repeat the process and go through it again. All of your logs, you want to make sure that you blow those off as well. You can hit them with a vacuum cleaner also, but typically these, I find that just using a little bit of the compressed air does fine. Just dust them off, make sure that you get each of them clean before you start putting it back together. Once I get everything cleaned good, I have already gone ahead and turned on the gas to the unit itself. And down here is my control knob. I'm actually going to turn it over to the pilot position, and you can see that once I have it in the pilot position, I'll be able to push that in. Typically what you will do once you ignite it is you will hold that button in for just a few moments. It overrides the thermocouple and lets the unit heat up to the point that it will stay on by itself. If that thermocouple is not working properly, the pilot light will not stay lit and your unit will not burn gas the way that it should. And if you have any issues with that, you need to get it checked. Okay, do not work or try to use a defective gas heater. Alright guys, I have had the gas on the heater for the last few minutes. I've got the pilot knob, I've got my control knob in the position for the pilot light. Again, I will be pushing in on that. That way it kind of overrides the thermocoupling and helps to get the pilot light going. Once the pilot light has been on long enough to heat up that thermostat, the unit should stay online itself. If it does not, you might want to contact a repairman and have them to look at it. Now, most units do have some type of a spark ignition. Typically they will use like a AAA battery or something like that, and it's usually a button that when you press it in, you can see the spark there, and that will generally ignite your pilot if you have gas up to the nozzle. Now, another method that I typically use is one of these grill lighters. They seem to work fine. It seems to work actually a little better for me, but to each their own. But again, sort of the same process. I push in on that pilot light, take my lighter, and you can see it's blowing, which means it's trying to get some of that gas through, but we may not have enough through there just yet. So I'm going to let it set for just a few more minutes just to help get some of the gas up to that nozzle. Being off all summer, this is something that can happen with your units. You know, if you have shut your tank off first and then basically let that dry your unit out, your lines have got to be refilled with propane. They've got to be rebled. This is one of the reasons why I will turn my main line on about a day before I get ready to light the heater, and then of course the valve directly behind the heater itself, I'll turn it on and just allow a little bit of the gas to filter into the line before I'm able to ignite the pilot. Okay guys, we have let the heater set for a little while with everything turned on. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to press in on my button again and try to light the pilot. Now you can see there the pilot is lit. I'm just going to hold in on this for a minute just to make sure that it gets that thermocouple warmed up. And now that I have released my hand from it, you can see that the pilot is still burning. So now what I'm going to do is actually pull this back a little. I'm going to go ahead and turn the unit completely on just to make sure that everything lights. So I'm just going to reach down here and I'm just going to turn it on low. I just want to make sure that it does come up just like that. And you can see there, looking at each of the openings and stuff, everything is looking good on this unit. And that initial light, I can tell that I don't really have a bad odor coming from the unit. So now I'm going to shut it back off just like this, and you can see now as well my pilot is just a little bit larger. There again, it's getting everything bled out of those lines the way that it's supposed to be. Now that the pilot is lit, what I'm going to do now is put the logs back into the heater. You can see there are holes on the logs themselves that will correspond with these little tabs that are sticking up on the heater. So I basically just need to line these up, making sure that I don't burn myself on that pilot. set them in place. It shouldn't move around. Take the remaining logs, same type of thing. There's a little notch there on the bottom that they set in. We've got these little studs sticking up on these. Drop that down there. Now, just like that, turn everything back on, and we now have our heater pretty much put back together. The only thing I've got to do now is to put this front screen on, and we are now ready to enjoy the heat. Okay guys, I now have gotten everything back together. I've got the screen on the front of my heater, and something that I need to do sometime is actually take some high temp black paint and repaint this screen. You can kind of see where it is a little bit discolored through here. That is just basically from the years of use, the heat that has come through that unit, and it has discolored it some, but that's no big deal. Kind of adds just a little bit of character. But guys, again, if you are not comfortable working on any kind of a gas heater, then you need to seek out a professional that does it for a living. This is just typically what I do to take care of my own. This is something that I've done for years, both on this heater as well as others that I've had over the years. I've had some fireplaces. In the last house that we had a fireplace that was very similar to this, and I would regularly clean it also. But again, if you have bad smells coming from your unit, more than likely it is because it is dirty, and this is one way you can clean that heater to make those smells go away. Guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to check out the rest of the videos on my channel. Be sure to subscribe. Check out the links down in the description. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.